Let me be the first to welcome you to learn what it takes to fire your landlord in less than 15 minutes. It is the perfect storm out there in real estate. You've got rates that are coming down, you've got more plentiful inventory that is coming down in price, and you've got lending criteria that is loosening up. Makes this the perfect time to own a home. So this is being brought to you by Fathom Realty and Encompass Lending Group. I am the presenter. My name is Trace, as in Uno, Dos, Trace. And no, my first two siblings were not named Uno and Dos, but I did vote for the last one to be named Ocho. Anyway, in this presentation, there are some data points here. The first one is if you think that getting a home is a great idea, then you're going to need to get a loan. And this is a calendar scheduler, so you can turn around and schedule a time for me to analyze your buying power. Also, there's an article from MSNBC saying that the rental market swings back in the favor of your landlord. Not really great reason to keep renting, okay? Also, Encompass does a great thing. It's called Consumer Credit Education Program. We will get your credit to where it needs to be in order to buy a house. And we'll do it for free as long as you use Encompass Lending Group. Okay, so this is an overview, and at the bottom there is a link to sign up for this if you like. Also, when it comes time to getting a loan, you need to lock in an interest rate. The process takes roughly 30 days, and the question becomes, which of those 30 days is the best day to lock your interest rate? I'm here to tell you, help you with that. Also, there's a summary overview of being a first-time home buyer. Okay, so first thing you need is a loan. You need to get the money. Okay, people tell you, oh, go out and get pre-qualified. No, 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 no. Do not get pre-qualified. Okay, the joke at my office is I'm a pre-millionaire, pre-dead, pre-pregnant, pre-astronaut, pre-thin. Look, don't get pre-qualified. What you want to do is let's change the language of what we're talking about. You want to get a NOLA. Stands for Notice of Loan Approval. Okay, now when you were in elementary school, you had a teacher that checked your work. In this, we have someone who checks my work. It's an underwriter, okay? Now, these approvals are actually good for about 4 months, and we check your credit, we check your income, we check how much money you got saved aside. But it's not done. We still need to check the property. It's going to be subject to an appraisal, title, contract, the things that are for that. And that process takes 10, 15 days. It goes real, real fast, okay? So what you need to do to be eligible for a loan, answer one question. Can you make one payment every month? They're going to look at 4 areas of your life. How much money do you make? How much money do you spend? How's your credit? And how much money you got set aside? So let's jump to it. For every $100 you earn before taxes, they will let you spend $33 for a house payment. Okay, so in dollars, let's say you make $6,000 a month. They do not want your house payment to be higher than $2,000 a month. Okay. For every $100 you make, you can spend $45 for your house plus your bills. Okay, and when they say bills, they mean whatever shows up on a credit report. So for every $6,000 you make, they'll let you spend $900 on top of the $2,000 for your bills. Your credit ranges from 450 to 850. Your credit needs to be somewhere in the middle. We'll say 640. Now you can get it lower, but you'll pay a higher rate, and you might have it higher than 640. But why not get better terms by getting a better score? Your cash. You have your down payment, your closing costs, and your prepaids. Okay, so let's break that down. Down payment ranges from 20%, 10, 5, 3.5. Great way to go. You can get it as little as 0 in some cases. Your closing costs are the costs associated with your loan fees. It's your appraisal, your credit report, your underwriting, so forth. Okay, but you can also negotiate for the prepaids, which are set up as your an account that holds 1/12 of your taxes, 1/12 of your fire insurance, 1/12 of your mortgage insurance. So with these payments, with your regular payment comes this little side account. And at the end of the year, they pay your taxes, they pay your fire insurance, and all of it. Okay. But when you buy a house in the middle of the year, you don't have this, so you have to prepay into it. Okay. A skilled negotiator will get the seller to pay your closing costs and your prepaids, leaving you with just your down payment. Okay. So We also talked about fixing credit issues. Like I said, I like to use the Consumer Credit Education Program. It is free if you use Encompass Lending Group. Okay. Also, I like to use a what if finder. What if we want to get your credit to 640? All we have to do is pay down Home Depot, or all we have to do is pay off American Express, or I will tell you specifically what to do to get your credit where it needs to go. And we also need to have a score protector. Let's protect, you have 3 scores, you need to protect one while you fix the other 2. Okay, so I've seen people go down over 100 points in less than 30 days. It's not that hard to do if you know what you're doing. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Question is, where are you and where do you need to go? So one of the great reasons to give me a call is to find out what we got to do. As far as the steps, there's 8 easy steps. Step 1 is we're going to meet, determine your buying power. Then we're going to gather your paperwork, pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns. Okay. Then you're going to go out and find a house with a realtor. Then you're going to make an offer with the realtor. Then once you get under contract, I'm going to get everything finalized on the house and your paperwork. Then the underwriter double checks that we've done it all right and issues a clear to close. We take your final paperwork to a third party, which is a title company. You bring your money, we sign the docs, and then the next day you're in a house. Pretty simple, not that bad. Realtors, they do not find the house. They negotiate for the house, okay? And then they also fix. They're fixers, okay? Look, you use fixers, your car breaks down, you have a mechanic, you leaky pipe, you have a plumber, you have a tooth that hurts, you have a dentist. All the services we get in this society have one thing in common. They're fixers. Realtors are no different, okay? But you have good realtors, you have average realtors, and you have lousy realtors, okay? Quite frankly, as much money as I'm going to be spending when I get a house, I do not want lousy or average. I want A plus. I want the alpha realtor, okay? Because I want an amazing deal, okay? But to get that, I want to hold them to a standard. So I want to get what's called a buyer's agreement. The buyer's agreement does 3 things. Number 1 says, I don't want to really pay for this. I'm negotiating for the seller to pay it, okay? Number 2, I want to get represented. You always work for whoever pays you. So even though the seller's going to pay it, the seller wants the highest price. I want the lowest price. I want the seller to pay it, but I want to get 100% representation at the lowest price, okay? And maybe that means leave the fridge, clean the carpets, drop the price, move out in 2 weeks, whatever it is, pay my closing costs, okay? But I also want a fiduciary. It's a morality clause. I want to trust the person I'm working with. And as much as I trust them, I also want to trust that it's in writing. So I have a buyer's agreement. And I don't get into that A plus realtor's car until I have a buyer's agreement. Okay? Look, Mark Twain said very, very well, buy land, they quit making it. Okay? But he also tells a really great story of Tom Sawyer, who's given the job of painting the fence. Okay? And he doesn't want to do it. He's like, no, no, no. Okay? So he has a friend come up, and his friend's getting ready to eat an apple. And he's thinking 2 things. I want the apple. I don't want to paint the fence. Okay? So his friend says, what are you doing? And he says, I'm painting the fence because only I could be trusted. There's nobody better at doing this job than me. And so I'm going to do it. And his friend's like, well, maybe I can do it. He's like, no, 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 no. He goes, well, I'm really good at doing it. He goes, no, no, no. I'm the only person to do it. So his friend talks him into, well, if I give you the apple, will you let me do it? And so finally, the story ends with Tom Sawyer under a tree eating an apple while his friend out doing the fence. Okay, that's in my book what a realtor does. They are out there to find me the deal, negotiate the terms, uh, get the seller to pay to do it here, leave the fridge, all of the deals, everything in a deal that I want. That's what a realtor gets for me. Okay, look, when you hear about other people getting a house, you're going to hear good stories and bad stories, but a little bit about both sides of it come to mind. Okay, so there's an attitude that matters. So there's a story about a husband and wife were talking about their twin sons and how one was optimistic and one was pessimistic. And the husband says to his wife, he says, look, you don't believe me, but they're really optimistic and pessimistic. And the wife's like, no. It's like, I'll prove it. So he goes to this room where the pessimistic son is in, with all these toys, all these games, and they open up the door, and the son's just crying. He's weeping. He's very, very sad. And he's like, what's going on? He's like, there's no one to play with, and the instructions are too hard, and they print the instructions in small font, and just on and on, complaining about everything. Nothing was just good enough for everything he'd been given. So they go down the hall to the garage, and in there, the optimistic son is in there with a room full of manure. And they open the door, and he's just digging and sliding and jumping and just having a grand old time in this mound of manure. And as they said, what's going on? He says, well, with this much manure in here, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. And he was so excited to be just digging through all this crap. Okay, look, it's going to be an attitude is going to be where you're going to find your experience. Have a good attitude. You're going to get a great house, a great deal, a great realtor, a great loan. It'll be well fun, and you're going to be glad you did it. Okay, so go through this process with a good attitude. Now, let me finalize this with one more thought of how we can make something very complex be very, very reliable. So bear with me really quick and go through 10 steps with me as I show you something a little bit complex, but has a very reliable outcome. What I like to do is to choose a number between 1 and 10. Okay? Now I like you to take your number and multiply it by 2. I like you to add to your new number 8. Now divide your new number by 2. Finally, I want you to subtract the first number, your original number, from your final number. Okay? Now we're going to convert your number into a letter. So for example, if you were the number 2, you'll be the letter B. If you're the number 3, you'll be the letter C, and so forth. Now you're going to think of a European country that begins with your letter. Now I'd like you to think of the next letter higher than your first letter. So if you're the letter B, you're not the letter C. Now think of a large zoo animal that begins with your letter. Finally, you're going to think of the color of that animal. Now you should be thinking of 3 things: a country, an animal, and a color. But no. Silly. There are no gray elephants in Denmark. Okay? There is a predictable outcome to a very complex process. Okay? Which is what buying a house is. So the last thing you're going to do is you're going to reach out and call either me for your loan or your credit repair or for your down payment challenges, and you're going to call the Reynolds, which is Tim and Agnes, and email them. They're going to set you up on a list of houses, okay? And while you're looking through that list of houses, we'll find out what it takes to afford one and get that comfortable monthly payment. I appreciate you listening to How to Fire Your Landlord in Less Than 15 Minutes. I look forward to hearing from you, and I enjoy going down this path very soon together. Bye-bye.